We back, man. Back for part two. Probably got about another 30 minutes to go, something like that, man. So, Dre, what you got?
Appreciate it. First and foremost, man, I want to let you know, I've been a big fan for years. She just realized who you were. She was like over there at all, like, that's him. We've heard the voice, but we never saw the face. Yeah. And so I'm a fan, she's a fan, my mom's a fan. So I say all this, I want to just ask you, like, I mean, what happened? I mean, I know you went from being on there a tall time dog with brother, you wasn't. Can we ask, like, what happened?
Oh, 95.7?
Yes, sir.
You know, I was on 95. I've been in gospel my entire career, which is probably like 23, 24 years. And then when I got to Clear Channel, of course, syndicated and all those kind of things, it had gotten to the point where they were almost demanding like 25 live reads or 25 endorsements. I think I had gotten up to like 13 or 14, and probably 12 of those I didn't believe in. You see what I'm talking about? But I still had to sell it to y'all. Yeah. Then I realized that that everything we did, from Sisters to whatever that happened on iHeart, it all happened out east. It happens in areas that we weren't benefiting from. So I kind of changed my mindset. And when that happened, I had already made, my kids were grown, and so now I can make some moves. Matter of fact, when the first hit came when I was negotiating for more money. I remember Bobby OJ saying to me, man, I wish I could, you know what I'm saying, but you know, I'm saying you can. It's just, at this point, I had nothing to lose. You know, when I was providing for my wife and my children, I took more. You know what I'm saying? As men, we take more. And this is what I say, being able to control your own destiny. I think the song says, what is a man? What has he got if not himself? And he has not. To say the things he really feel and not the words of those who kneel. And so that's kind of what happened. The record show, I took the blow. Right. And I'm doing it my way, and I go from making $200,000 to making whatever a teacher makes on the station I'm on now.
Okay.
Because I also understood that money is a fiat currency, that it wasn't real, that it's not even backed up by gold, that it's just something that now they keep us on the hamster wheel. So if you go buy a $300,000 house, that nobody gets $300,000, they just put some zeros on the thing, and for the rest of your life you got to work.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So once I understood this, and I wanted to be able to say things to my people, I'm still on a platform where I still have to behold to the school system. So I still can't say what I feel about compulsory education or what I feel about the way we're going about whatever, right? But I'm positioning myself to a point where people think, and I'll stop at this, people think when you got a lot of money, you're wealthy. But I found out that the closer you can live to zero, the wealthier you are. Man. Nobody can live at zero, we're starved. But if I can do rainwater, plant my own food, and do my own stuff, then I'm wealthy, because when the Democrats are in, it's one way. When the Republicans are in, it's maybe, so you may go up and down based on that. But when you are a little more self-contained, then you can see these things, but you don't have to buy into all that. You see what I'm saying? This is kind of where I am now. So if nobody ever says my name again, if nobody ever calls me or do whatever, you know, I'm good. You see what I'm saying? And so if you ever listen to me on 88.5, you know I walked so far to the edge. You know, I just know not how to fall off here. You see what I'm saying? I know how to, just like I'm doing here. If for those, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so I'm constantly learning, but there are some things that I have learned that I want to be able to say. You see what I'm saying? Right. And so I couldn't say it on that platform, as big as it was, and as much as, to your point, I was in the public eye. Yeah. This is part of the game. So you go from Little Kim to another Nicki Minaj, to another dispensation of Sexy Red or Cardi B or Glorilla or any of these people. You see what I'm saying? These are prototypes of the things that they're just doing over and over again. This is how you stay in the limelight, as long as you are doing those 25 endorsements that gets, and I ain't gonna say no companies, but get this company or that company. That's not, and so instead of saying welcome to Moe's, I'd rather say welcome to Joe's. Mm-hmm. Right? And my Uncle Joe, you know, this is where I am right now. And if I don't get to do it, nobody was looking for it. So at this point, I've had my run, you know what I'm saying? And so if the universe says I need to be called up for another run, I'll take it. But if not, I'm gonna hug a tree. I got caught hugging a tree the other day, right there on Greenlaw, man. I was hugging a tree. I was hugging
it's called tree hugging.
And the guy was turning the corner, and we locked eye to eye. As I started to be shamed and let this tree go, But then I thought, I don't know that guy. I have no narrative in my life.
Exactly.
This tree is grounding me. This tree is allowing the endorphins and the things that are inside of me to really get grounded. So this was more important. And so, but that shame almost happened, and this is what happens to us all the time. I don't want to lose this good job. I don't want to leave this. The guy did push me out a little earlier than I wanted to go. I was buying up property, so I could, so the real estate could, then I don't have to be, I don't need no followers. I don't need no clicks. I don't need nothing because I'm good. I can eat. My family, I'm good. Now I can say what I want to say. But I never did get that. And then even owning Casey's Motel, if y'all know, I owned that for 9 years. And to your point about Umar Johnson, that never really came to fruition. You see, and so nobody was looking for it. So I still feel this, I got 1,000 proposals and business plans, you know what I'm saying, for that 2.2 acre, you know what I mean, that never happened. But somebody's got it, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do, and I'm happy for them. So what God has for me, what the universe has for me, I'm waiting to see it, and I'm walking while I'm waiting. It's not like I'm standing still, you see what I'm saying? And so I'll start teaching classes, so look out for that. I'll be doing some audio boot camps and things like that to teach some stuff. But at this point, man, I'm just waiting to see kind of what comes next. It may not even be in Memphis. My next might be out, my third and fourth quarter might be somewhere else, and this was just a training ground for me. So the story ain't over until I win. Right. And so, in my opinion, all that stuff I did for those 30 years and all this, that wasn't really winning. Because that was just me playing this game. That was me playing this matrix game. And even though I was the best at it, when you look at it, if I made $1 million, they made 400 million.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? So it wasn't even a game. And then you look at syndicated. When I became syndicated on the radio station, that means that all those people down in Jackson, Mississippi, folks in Birmingham, and all these affiliates that I was on, they got fired. There was no morning show in these areas because now the Ricky Smiley show, the Tom, you know, when that phenomenon happened, it wiped out a lot of local people in these towns and cities. And so these are modalities. And so now what I've learned to do is zoom out from my little thing and see the method of operandi. How are they doing this to all of us all over the globe? If you go to Africa, the Arabs and people are still got the stores in those places, just like here. You know what I'm saying? These are the same patterns no matter where you go. If you go to Georgia, you go anywhere, you're going to see the little Arab stores, Chinese stores, because when they came, they undergirded them. They gave them these embassies with these kind of things. So once you retrofit it and figure out how we got here, then we can kind of get out of it. And so and we're in the Aquarian age, which is the age of information. And so a lot of these younger kids are waking up. They ain't going for a lot of the stuff that we went for the okie doke. They trying to figure out why. They may not know how to do it. They got a zeal with no knowledge right now. And I'm saying to you that I'm trying to be and find my tribe so we can be the knowledge givers. You see what I'm saying? We ain't saying we know it all, but that ain't, you know how they say that Christopher Columbus discovered America? Because Europe was in the age of discovery. When they sent out Henry the Navigator, Vespucci and all those guys, Europe was in the age of, so everything they found, they put a flag on it and said they discovered it. Even though people were there, artifact stuff was already there. And so when you look at some of that stuff, then you understand and that, you know, that we really have a good future ahead of us. And it just really matters. I mean, it just takes some of these gatekeepers are going to have to go. Some people need to leave, you know what I'm saying, that are holding their foot on the information, holding their foot on the gate. I come up with a song. I was trying to open up an LLC. These fools wouldn't support me, right? All right. So now they say, but now my son listens to that. Well, he say, Daddy, LLC. What's an LLC? Right. You see what I'm talking about? But the gatekeeper say that song is some trash. But when I come and say, I bust him in the head, put him on the wet, flat, smack him up. You're a genius. You're the greatest. You know what I mean? And so this is how it works, because we own the gate, and when we own the gate by having these record labels, money talks. So I think of all the 70s and 80s when they start owning the label, I ain't gonna say the name, but when they start owning labels, you saw what the guy named Damon Dash, you hear his story about how he wanted to go with this strong us together, and then they saying, hey, you see what I'm saying? And then that's how it kind of go. I'm still talking code, but I think y'all understand what I'm saying. So, but to answer your question, basically, I had an epiphany, and I had done what I was doing, in my opinion, long enough. And luckily for the audience, for those couple of years, when I left and they put Dre Money in there, you know what I'm saying, it was almost, a lot of people didn't even know I was gone. The passive listener, now the passive listener, I'm saying, but a real diehard knew. You said, but the passive listener, and I was saying, well, you know, because I got to go on a different journey, maybe y'all should be able to keep a level of whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? Because until a person wakes up that cognitive dissonance is going to kick in. So I've got issues with religion. I've got issues with politics. I've got issues with a lot of stuff. And not to the degree that I'm no good anymore, or I can't work with folk or see people, because I know this is the construct in which we're in.
Right.
So I can play with that. But I want us to always know that that this is just some matrix works that we doing here. This, you know what I'm saying?
Let's kind of pounce on that real quick, because you said something that I really relate to. First off, you said, I remember you were saying, if nobody calls you, you know, you good with it, man. Look, we in full support of you. You got another network here, and whatever you got going on, please let us know.
All right, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing with me. I think we got into a real, like, we was going back and forth at the smoke shop, and I used to listen to you every day. Every time you on the radio, you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you was funny. You had stories. Your prayer was, I mean, everything was just on point for me at that time. Like, because it was just full speed ahead. Youth ministry, prison ministry, hospital ministry, college ministry. I was everywhere. My thought process changed, and I saw things differently. And I'm like, why am I separating myself? It's a whole lot of, it's a plethora of other things, but I never understood how can we always create these things that separate us as black people, and we don't even realize, like, it's a mindset, and it's just it's beliefs and opinions, and that's what we're fighting over. We're fighting over what, if you believe something or see things differently than me, then I shouldn't be friends with you. I never really understood that. Along with other things, it just kind of, so I use, you know, when you say universe, stuff like that, like I just understand my spirituality, my spiritual senses is totally different now. So
and the job is not to try to evangelize other people or make them think how you think.
Right.
It's just simply being able to stand alone, and if nobody else goes, I'm good. You know what I'm talking about? Now, I'm not going to even come against what you're saying unless somebody asks me.
We was at the event the other day at the Gold Strike. The guy was beside me. He was asking me, man, he said, man, you need to get into politics. I said, why I need to get into politics? He said, man, you ain't never thought about being a politician? I said, no, I ain't never thought about being a politician, but I assist my political guys, right? He just kept pressing the issue, so I gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is who I am. I think everybody needs, like, you know, you need the guy that can say whatever he needs to say, and then the guy that can speak for the people, and you know, you have a political stance on it. But I can't get myself in a space where I can't move. I don't like it. And I'm not saying that's the case. I just don't want to take that chance, because I know I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna lose
party lines.
Right.
And I think you do. Don't get me wrong. You do a great job. Like what you do.
That's why I love him.
That's what he said when he got in.
I get calls all the time about me saying something that people say, "Hey, man, why'd you say that?" And I'm like, "What you mean why I say it?" It was like, because I'm a human being, and this is the way I think of things. I mean, I'm a Democrat.
Do you often have these kind of like debates back and forth with them over you saying something that you feel?
Yeah. People call me and ask me, you know, why did I say a certain thing? Or I had this one situation where somebody misinterpreted what I said. We were talking about immigration. And I was on a show with a gentleman, and they said, well, I think they tripped you up. And I said, tripped me up by saying what? They said, because you said that some people that are immigrants should go to jail. And I said, no, they didn't trip me up. I said, if you're an immigrant that committed a crime in the United States, you should go to jail. They looked at me like, why'd you say that? I said, well, because if I went to Mexico and I decided to go down there and hit somebody upside the head, I'm going to jail. And ain't nobody coming to save me. I'm going to be in a Mexican prison, and I'm going to jail. So what I was saying to them is that there's law and order, but there's also times when people take the law and they use it they weaponize the law against people. And I don't believe in weaponizing law from an immigration standpoint against people. I believe that if somebody's here and they're on a path to being able to be a citizen, then we should respect that path. In fact, we should shorten that path, because none of us we're native here. So there's an opportunity. They should have an opportunity to become a citizen, especially if you have people that I know personally that were on that path for 20 years. 20 years trying to become a citizen, working, paying taxes, doing all that, but for 20 years. And so I said, you know, but the person was like, well, you just should have said nobody should go to jail. And I said, well, I wouldn't be telling the truth. I have to be true to myself first. The other part is, I think in politics, we've gotten to a point to where we can't be, policy shouldn't rule the person. That's what I tell people all the time. Whatever your policy is, your policy should be dynamic enough to include the people that you represent. We could have a policy saying a certain thing, but when the human element is considered, and when the things that we're trying to do show us something outside of what that policy says, we have to be dynamic enough to be able to speak to it. Mm-hmm. And I can't go back to somebody and say, oh, is this okay for me to say? Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to go ahead and say it. And then because if I was elected to do this position, and if I was a person that you trust as a leader, I'm capable enough to understand that I'm not going to throw away all my laws on one statement. But I have to be real enough to say, hey, this is this and that is that.
Right.
And be cool with it too. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what I say. I can say tomato, tomato. Somebody's going to have a problem with the way I even say the word. Yeah. And so you're just going to have that issue. Like some people might think I shouldn't be on podcasts like this because they say, well, it's not a structured environment, and you're not talking about, they're not.
Pretty much the dynamic of what y'all talk about Dr. Umar.
Exactly.
He should only stay on certain shows, 60 minutes, these kind of things. And so they more pigeonhole you to be.
Will, I think that, I personally think that, and I'm not saying this is for you,
right?
But I think most, 95% of politicians are limited on certain things they say because they have to keep a certain amount of people, because they want votes, they want people to back them up, money-wise, whatever. And most politicians are going to go that way. They're not really going to be authentic as they really are.
But I think we should. And see,
I think we should too.
Here's the argument right now. Donald Trump actually gained people because he's not that. Mm-hmm. This guy is a complete
buffoon.
Don't
do that.
I don't even want to use the word I want to use, but
don't do that.
This guy is a master of manipulation. He understands marketing. He understands how to put himself in a position. I think he's taken on his job as on the Apprentice, and he has made that his whole mantra.
And then let me say this, and I also think that it's his authenticity. So in other words, whether you believe him or not, he believes him.
He believes him.
And to his point about when we listen to certain people, they talking in legalese and they dancing around stuff, and you can't, so people don't trust him. But a guy that tells me, man, I hate you because you're ugly, I can respect that. You see what I'm saying? I can respect the guy that tells me how he feels. Instead of the guy saying, man, hey, I think you're great. Then all the time he just took my car, got to be told. He got, he did 1,000 things against me. Right. You see what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there believing he's one way. So I think a lot of people understood that, and they understand that when you talk from the heart, they say what's from the heart reaches the heart. And I think that a problem is now that, again, with the group thing happens, if you don't carry all of it, it's hard to have room for your individualism. Because, I said to a pastor the other day, I said that the man cited an executive order saying that America's only going to recognize two sexes, male and female. Right. And as a preaching,
and that was a joke. That was a joke.
No, it's real. President Trump signed an executive order. Said America's only going to recognize two sexes, male and female. Gotcha. And I'm saying to you, as a born again, blood bought, whatever, you would think that the pastors would be heralding this.
Yes.
But it's crickets. Nobody's saying nothing. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying to you that even to your point, whatever name you're going to give him, when the reality comes in, this is what I say, our emotionalism gets so big that we can't see it. And I had an uncle that he would fix my car. Back in this, I had a 72 Nova. It was regular. It would stop at every other light. But he would fix the alternator, and he would be cussing me out while he fixing it. Right, to go back to college, right? Now I could have been thin-skinned. I could have been emotional. Uncle, why are you calling me these names? Oh, mommy, he's calling. Right, as opposed to realizing that what he's doing is speaking so loud, I can't hear what he's saying. This man is helping me to get back to my pursuit of education. And so if I listen to his words, I could beat myself out of a blessing. I'm gonna go down and take it down here, and then I'm out a whole lot of money, or I can't afford it, or I gotta leave my car. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying to you, sometimes in conversations, when we decide something, see, I promise I'm gonna stop, but a guy told me when I was 47 years old, I'm 61 years old now. So when I was 47, the guy told me that the days of the weeks were named after planets.
Yeah.
And I told that man, you a lie, right? I Googled it. And then, of course, the names of the weeks are correlating with planets. You see what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, how could I be? How could I be in a country this long ago and not even know something as basic as that? And so I went down the rabbit hole. And I'm saying to you that when you look at the pyramids of Giza are 30,000 years old minimum, right? How can we be in 2000 and anything? And that's because of the Gregorian calendar. And before that, it was the Julian calendar. And before that, it was the Mayans. You see what I'm saying? Now I didn't know that. I didn't know any of this was happening.
I went down.
And so, what I'm saying to you is that's why on the radio when I say grand rising as opposed to good morning, it's because I learned about vernacular entrapment. And so when you say morning, that's morning. Your mama just died and you're mourning, right? And so you're speaking these things on people their whole day. These are, and so I'm saying, and so I ain't forcing nobody to go around here and say grand rising. I just chose to start saying it. And if my influence can make you start saying it, and you understand why, then that is something that's what's called a personality as opposed to a DJ.
Right.
See, a DJ just, you listen to his music, a personality, when I say dee-da, folk gonna start saying dee-da, right? You know what I'm saying? Because of influence. And so you can use that influence for good or you can use it bad because energy, it has no, it'll go wherever you send it. It ain't good or bad. It ain't masculine and feminine energy, but it's waiting on you. You can learn about chemistry to save the world, or you can learn about chemistry to blow the world up.
Right. And I love, this is why we created the podcast in the first place. I see so many other people, especially white people, they can get in the room, all of them can disagree, don't nothing get confrontational, and then by the end of the day, they gonna still do business. Yep. It was still a great interview. We did a good debate, and it's the same thing when they walk out of there. It's the same thing. We tend to do the opposite. We can't disagree. I ain't gonna. I'm saying
that's what they show you. Because I will tell you this.
I know you see it because you be in the. I sat in that party meeting that day.
So you
and I see
what I see. So
But us though, I'm just as far as us.
They put on the public front.
And see what we haven't learned to do is have a public persona. What we do is we bring our private persona and make it our public persona at the same time. Yeah. And so what they've done is they build a curtain. They said, all you're gonna see is this. We're gonna fight like cats and dogs behind closed doors. I'm gonna call you all kinds of names behind closed doors. When we walk out here,
Kamala Harris is gonna be the nominee.
Cool. We're gonna be cool, and we're gonna be cool, and then they're gonna go back behind closed doors, and they can hate each other. I mean, literally hate each other, and I've seen it. I've seen it. I've heard it. And so for us, I always tell my people, and I say this all the time. You know, if you're gonna fight, get paid for it. I mean, if you got it in your mind, you say you want to fight, get paid for it. Because what we do now, we entertain for free. Ever since World Star came out, we have a World Star mentality where we want to go out here. We want to film people. We want to film people in their calamity. We want to basically
for free.
Now, what would be for the people that are the ones that fight often on World Star? What they should be doing is monetizing and say, look, if you want to see me act a fool, let's monetize my foolishness. So what we've done is we let our mess become our mantra. We've gone out and we will never ever sit back and say, where's the civility in our conversation? Where's the and people make it kind of bad if you have any kind of sophisticated conversation. Now they go, oh, he's trying to talk over our head, or he's trying to use vernacular that we're not used to. Well, the dictionary is available to everybody.
When you look at the dictionary, I told you I zoom out. When you look at that, then you have to look at Noel Webster, when you just brought the dictionary. And you look at who wrote the lexicon, and you look at where he pulled these words out, you look at who connotes the meanings of stuff. And so I'm saying to you that if we learn, say, Swahili or something that forced us all to be on one page somewhere and made us, see, as I do the research, I found out that we weren't always nationalists. In other words, we weren't always Americans or Russians or this stuff is like almost 100, maybe a little less than 100-year phenomenon. Yeah. Before that, you were regionalism, you was of your name, he was an astronaut or, you know what I mean, or he was from whatever. But you wanted, and it was, I think, I listened to a lecture to talk about the guy, I think it was Russia, or somebody that started the propaganda for nationalism that gave people pride in one area, and then everybody started having their pride. You see what I'm saying? And so all these things that we're living in is unnatural. We shouldn't have to have a passport to go somewhere.
Right.
These are, you see, and we just buy into this and we just give it to our kids. And we just feed it up. When they hear about the king, your daughter hear about the king made a decree. Well, now she's learning that somebody's going to be over her named a king. And it's a decree. Nobody's telling her specifically, but you're learning these codes. You see what I'm saying? I mean, the psychologists have gone into like the itsy bitsy spider or the man, the cow jumped over the moon. That these are sexualized nursery rhymes, that the spoon means something, the moon means, you see what I'm saying? And we were just sitting there operating, nobody's even talking about any of this, you see what I'm saying? And so as soon as you start thinking, is what they did in the Greece and Rome, it's called bread and circus. So anytime the people started mumbling, because they would take the gold and they would cut off a piece of it and they were debasing the gold and then they were making their own, you know what I'm saying? Now you got all copper and they still, you know what I'm saying? So now you go to Africa and they say it's $18,000. I mean, 18,000, whatever the thing is, and you find out it's $3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen that on the video where the folks, the price would be $1,800 you're like, what? Then it'd be like $4.50 our money. It's because they debased the currency so that it's no good. So my point is, every time the people start mumbling and saying, hey, we you know, our taxes, or you taking people off Medicaid, or whatever it is it may be, they're going to give us what's called bread and circus, and then we're going to be diverted, you know what I'm saying, to something else. And whether it's the pre-Diddy trial, man, I watched a guy beat a white guy beat a girl in the elevator. Yeah. I normally would never, I mean, my algorithms know not to even sit, but this guy beat this girl. I mean, I'm saying, this is 80 times worse than what P. Diddy did to that Cassidy girl. But during that trial, I was getting my nails done. They showed that 1,000,000 times, over and over and over again, because they're setting the construct of what you should believe about somebody. And if you ever notice, one more thing I'll say, is the criminals are getting cuter. In other words, this is what I'm saying. There was a time, man, when you look at the news and they show a black guy, he's some big, you know, creature-looking guy, he's looking right. Now, when they
got a hairline,
got dreads, and these guys looking handsome and they looking good. And so now, when you go to the service station, everybody is suspect now.
So that's what you get.
Everybody,
because we've actually commercialized.
Right.
Criminality.
Right. We commercialize gang. Crips and Bloods is like a thing now.
It's like a corporation now. I mean, when you got rappers and musicians, and even NBA players, they get out there and they say gang. I mean, they use gang lingo in games and throwing up gang signs. And I'm sitting there like, are you serious?
So that goes into our next topic. So as far as you have kids.
Yeah.
How many?
I have 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
And a grandson. Yeah.
I've got 3 kids.
3 kids.
And a bunch of grandkids.
5 daughters and
5 daughters and 1 son.
And 6 daughters.
Yeah.
6 daughters.
No, 5 daughters.
7 daughters.
What? 5 daughters, 1 son.
He forgot.
You know he added.
No, Rolling Stone.
These are all your nephews and nieces, so you keep on with it. Okay.
I know. Hey, Chris, you got 1 son, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 son.
1 daughter.
Do y'all feel like there's a so I look at the fact that I feel like there's a disconnect between OGs. They giving us all initials now. You got the OGs, the YNs, the UNCs.
Yep.
What's the other one, nephew?
YN, you got ON.
Old nigga. Right.
You got Thug and old.
Yeah.
There's obviously a disconnect between the OGs and the YNs. I feel like I don't even feel comfortable approaching it. I used to be real good at man, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, just like he said, everybody looks the same. I don't know who's who now.
Well, I have to speak on this because, man, when I was growing up, I remember that most of our history was really verbal.
Right.
I mean, because before I ever saw Muhammad Ali fight, I heard about Muhammad Ali fight, and my uncles and my cousins would talk about it, and I had already had this image of Ali being larger than life. And my first time ever seeing him fight, he fought Michael Spinks and got knocked out. And man, I cried. I literally cried. So I rather would have had the oral history rather than me seeing him fight and lose. I'd rather have they had told me, hey, he lost the fight. But when I saw it for myself and I saw this guy who didn't look as formidable as Ali, and I demonized him after that because he beat Ali, man. I was almost like how Mike Tyson was when when Larry Holmes beat up Ali, and Mike Tyson hated and he wanted to take it out on him. I felt that way, and so I said that to say that our stories that we used to give each other, when we told our story about our neighborhoods and about how we used to be, they would shape our minds about pride in our neighborhoods. And we don't tell our stories anymore. We kind of let other people tell our stories about our neighborhoods. We let other people, like when Mike was just talking about what happened with the Black Panthers and that whole situation. You know, when we heard of the Black Panthers when we were young, we saw them as superheroes. Yeah. Because in our mind, we saw them as but as soon as you start seeing these guys on a film or whatever, they breaking down their character flaws. They said Huey Newton was on drugs, and start breaking all these things down and start bringing all this stuff in. So I think what we have to do to have communication is to have more a humanized thought when we look at our children or we look at the younger generation. Let's not go and show, because what they're going to do now is they can Google this guy. And what Google says about this guy is not what you saw in your youth.
Yeah.
Now when somebody Googles Dr. King because of what Donald Trump is doing, releasing these files, my grandson's probably going to Google Dr. King and is going to see something totally different than what we saw. I remember growing up in Alabama, and when I was a little kid, living with my grandmother in Alabama before we moved to Chicago, there was a platter she had in her house. Every house had a picture of Dr. King, Jesus, and we had Paul Bell Bryant, because he was the coach of Alabama. I just got to be honest. In Alabama, where we live, Paul Bell Bryant was almost like he was a disciple. So you had these people on the wall in your house, and all you heard about was these all these heroic deeds these guys did. And then I see John F. Kennedy on these little murals in the house, too, along with the big spoon and fork on the wall that everybody had, too.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that stuff. And in our minds, it created a goal for us to try to reach, or a nostalgia that we could follow. But now we have so much realism now because we can look this stuff up and then we can see the reality of these guys. We haven't started having real conversations about the reality of these guys, because they'll be able to pick. I had a big argument with somebody about Dr. King, for instance. I was telling somebody, it was like, hey, shoot, he cheated on his wife. He did this and then did that, and he was doing all this stuff. And I said, you know how old he was when he died? And he said, probably old. I said, he was 38.
Yeah.
I said, think
he was still young.
This man was 38 years old. And when he got killed, I said, do you know how they used to treat his house? They used to go over there and throw fire on the yard and do all kinds of stuff. And I said, keep in mind, when they had the bus boycott, he had a car. He had a nice congregation. He didn't even have to get in a fight. Because the preacher back then, from his status, could have lived a good life. In fact, his father didn't even want him getting in the fray. He was like, look, you can talk about it, but just don't you get out there. But he got out there. And I said, when you have a person that basically got pushed into this light, and once you got pushed into the light, and then we talk about the other stuff that happened that we don't know about, once you get into that light, then you have all this stuff going on. People now can pick you apart. But the most important part we have to realize is there was a sacrifice made. This guy was a pariah for a lot of people. He was also being pimped by certain people. And then he was also put in a position where he put his kids' lives in danger every day. His wife and his kids were in danger every day. And so if we tell them the story, the complete story, not let them find out about it, but we have a real conversation about it, I think that'll help build our communities back to where they were. Because we let them find out, and they effing around and finding out.
Yeah.
but they really not hearing the story behind it. It's like we're allowing them to take, for instance, if we let our kid, if their first exposure to sex was watching porno, then what you think gonna happen with them?
Yeah.
But if you don't explain what happens after that, if you don't explain that, especially now that Memphis is number 2 in
And
STDs,
STDs.
if you don't give them all the information behind that,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
And when
They
you think
going to
about
find out.
they
They going to find
Go
out.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah,
Chris, you wanna-
go ahead, man.
No, but you saying that I was about to ask you, especially with the Dr. King situation. Why is it that you think people want to victimize the victim?
Well, people, it's easy to do. You're not here to argue about it. You can't defend yourself. It's easy to do that. You know, it's easy to go back and play armchair quarterback to a guy. He ain't here. I mean,
Why not say it when they're here?
Yeah, but because they had an agenda, and he
Yeah.
was the leader of that agenda. In my opinion, this is my opinion, and it's sort of like when you, when my grandkids Google Black Panthers,
The movie come up.
the movie gonna come up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so when you look on Zoom and you look at methods of operandi, this is what they do. And so when you look at a person that is, that may be morally flawed, but they can serve an agenda, then somebody's going to prop that person up to carry out that agenda. You see what I'm saying? And as long as, you know, again, okay. So it could be anybody. It's like, as long, okay, you look at Washington, D.C., Marion Barry, from Memphis.
From Memphis.
And I don't know if he got the addiction after he got the money, he became the mayor, because I haven't done any due diligence on it. But I know he was the mayor more than once.
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you see what I'm saying? So it means at the point where they knew he was on drugs and wasn't himself and could be used, you know what I'm saying, because of this addiction. You see what I'm saying? Or either used because to get more drugs, and I don't think that's probably the case, but to be used because we got information on you that we could tell, and you don't want these people to know, because nobody's real out here anymore.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? See, if I was, again, back to, I hate to say it, but back to Donald Trump, no matter how you feel about it, that's the reason the base is kind of still with him, because he already said what he was. He didn't come in with one way and then do something different.
Yeah.
So now, matter of fact, they say he's doing something different by not releasing Epstein. You see what I'm saying? In other words, you supposed to be that radical that did the most.
Yeah, yeah.
Now he's kind of doing the least.
Because he can't act the role.
But I'm saying, but when people are
He acting the
real,
role.
but Mary said, I got a drug addiction. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to overcome it, but I'm going to be a hell of a man.
Yeah.
I might deal with some prostitutes. I might, you understand what I'm saying? But I mean, I hate to say the name, but one of the politicians around here with the name start with F-O-R-D.
I wonder who you're talking about. Go ahead.
So
There's some folks be like, damn, they got four names.
I'm talking 20, 30 years when the daddy was in that. People said to me that man could kill 5 people.
And we still
I would
get
still vote for
both of
that
them.
man.
Yes, I heard that so
Because
much.
the works spoke bigger than him.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so what you do speaks a lot of what you're saying. And I'm saying nowadays people are trying to be so squeaky clean. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? And ain't saying nothing. And then all the time, the trail of tears back here. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But whoever needed him to be squeaky clean to get this ball over the finish line, to introduce this bill or to introduce this ordinance or to do whatever it was, we knew you had all that. But we hid it. You think that's why the boy was on Martin Luther King, CIA, Hoover. That's why he was doing all that. And the dirtier you are, that's the better you are for us.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, and that's how they say in Israel. I hate to say the word, but in 48 or whatever, man, I thought Israel was around since the Bible days.
Right.
When I went down the rabbit hole and researched, them dudes just got in 48. And so, if you think about Epstein, but before Epstein, the forerunner of that was Ghislaine Maxwell's daddy, Robert Maxwell. And guess what he was over? Hills McGraw Books, which was the education of the entire United States. So in the 40s and 50s, these people over there controlling what we thinking and what we doing and what we talking about. They tell
The education you getting was from them. Like they want you to think.
Writes the story, the hunter will always be glorified. And so we're still doing the same thing. Nobody's unraveled some of that. You look at Margaret Sanger. I think Hillary Clinton talked about that as one of her mentors, one of her heroes.
Right.
When you look at it, you go up and you find out Margaret Sanger was in eugenics and thought black people should be exterminated and do whatever.
Very
But at the
racist.
time, when she was doing Planned Parenthood all over the place and they needed that agenda, then you couldn't
Loved her.
find
They loved-
that
yeah.
information about her.
Right.
Her husband is Charles Darwin, who went into Darwinism and all this survival of physics and the brain and the crane, all this stuff to just pull right out the crack
Right.
and then presented it as science. And for years, and then when they find out something else, now, this is what I say on the radio all the time. You go on this, operate on this information for all this time, and then when somebody say, now we've carbon dated this, we found out, you know, and now all of a sudden we checked it. I just got a degree in this. You see what I'm saying? Now we found out I got a degree in something that wasn't even true. It was like we was lying.
Yeah, exactly. Listen.
So that was a waste of money tuition.
Yeah. We a waste of money tuition.
That's the main reason why we have to have the conversation.
Right.
Because that's what's hurt us the whole time, because our parents can tell us the story. Because again, there were people that knew the story about all these people if they just were being honest.
Man, the Bible tells us, or different ideologies tell us to stay away from astrology and astronomy. And I'm saying to you that this is where a lot of truth is. And so who is keeping us from truth? Who? What? You see what I'm saying? And you have to realize who is that movie with Common was in. He was the voice of this. I think that they had a gong. The guy, it was a cartoon kind of thing, but the guy's job was to wake up the sun. He had a helmet on, and they would shoot him out the slingshot, and he would go and they hit the sun, hit the gong, and then the gong would, because the sun. And they told all the town people they believed this. He had a position, is big thing. And one day, I think the Rock or whoever the son was, somebody moved the thing, and he missed it, and the sun still came up. He didn't tell nobody. So the whole belief thing, but he started now not believing.
Right.
Because he knew that he wasn't making the sun come up.
I don't mean to cut you off. Now that's my point right there. I think that's where the disconnect is.
This is where I was.
How are you, like, if you old school, I have old school values, and then now I try to look at things more of a modern day, just to relate to them. If I'm telling you, if I'm an OG and I'm talking to you, and I'm telling you all the things, how I grew up and, you know, the stuff that we went through and stuff like that, but you're not seeing it. You're seeing something totally different on social media. Social media is real to you, or what you're seeing on social media. If I give you a hope message, but you seeing, like, how you, I don't see what you telling me.
If you gave me $100,
I'll listen to
I
you.
see the mess out of it. I'm saying,
Right.
if you gave me $100, you gave me $100 every week to come back and hear you again, I would believe you over time. See, what I'm saying is, see, the reality of these videos have been back from New Jack City, have been back from all my life. These movies have been telling me what to do and what's important to me.
Right.
And so when an OG comes and tell me something different, and he walk away, I'm still stuck here with you.
Exactly.
So
you're not replacing it with
if a politician, I say, hey, man, I voted for you. You say, hey, Mike, if I say, hey, man, I gave you a campaign. Oh, now what's your name? You see what I'm talking about?
And I agree.
Because it means, because you got skin in the game.
Right.
And so I gave you my money. And where your money is, your heart is also, they say.
But do you think the respect, I'm also seeing it on a grander level, because, like, you got, what's the guy that fought Tyson? The young guy. Jake Paul.
Or some kind of Paul.
We would never, a young person or a young person in whatever that is would never go against, like, the master. Like, you pay homage to him. We always did, even with rapping, we would never go against
the master. Mike Tyson.
Right, Mike Tyson would be,
Yes.
but there's no respect now,
I
right?
thought you were talking because from a young, wide, whatever y'all call it, wide, whatever. From that guy perspective, Jake Paul might be the
OG to
master.
him. Right.
Yeah, because they don't know, because they don't know what Mike has done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That old tradition.
That's what everybody
But I'm
did
saying
that.
to you, but the reality is the reality. The reality
Right.
is that all I've seen Jake Paul across 15 platforms tripping, talking about, I don't really know his stick, but whatever he's got him to where he is on social media with all this stuff, that he can even fight Mike Tyson and get all these millions.
Exactly.
He's got some products. He got somebody with him. So I'm saying to you that they made, in the eyes of my son and grandson, they made Jake Paul the master.
But now Clarissa Shields is now challenging Layla Ali. That's what I'm saying.
Now, see,
Why
what I'm saying-
is she disrespectful with it? Ain't no respect no
See, that's
more.
what I'm finna say here. It's like they respect the end results and don't know the road that led to it.
Right.
So they don't care about it. At that point now, they feel like they don't have to take that road. I'm just gonna try to jump to the end and take over or something that they don't
Yeah,
respect.
they don't respect the
It's
journey.
called delayed gratification. We're not teaching it to our kids.
Right. Or they doing the thing that Floyd Mayweather did. You know, you take a fight that you know you can win. Floyd Mayweather introduced that to us a long time ago. Floyd said, "I'm not gonna fight you when people say I should fight you. I'm gonna fight you when I get ready."
But did he
Yeah, like
challenge?
Pacquiao.
Did he challenge Tyson though? Did he challenge Holy? Like, did he challenge?
No, he said he don't want to fight people.
That he know,
Right.
yeah.
Takes a fight, he going.
And that's sort of smart.
Can I say one more thing?
Right.
Old age does not determine wisdom. Right.
Right.
Old age does not determine rightness.
Nope.
Right?
Right.
You could be old and wrong is
Wrong.
Old, they call it old
And
fool.
what's happening to these young people now is they ain't going on the intrinsic. You just got it because you old.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you gave me $100, you gave me $100 every week. I respect you now. Because either you doing something right because your car ain't never been told. You ain't got you still able to give me this $100. So obviously something in your life is working.
Right.
Because I see this guy on TV every week, and he in Paramoo, and he all the time could be a green screen behind this guy.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? We assume because he got the bling bling and the knot that he got to get his money right back to somebody else, but we don't know that part.
We don't know it.
So the young kids going on what they see because seeing is reality, and so what we got to do, in my opinion, is come with something equivalent to the $100.
It's like Slick said
Yeah.
when you talked about Dr. Umar earlier. If you had a school that was open and they were educating kids and you saw progress behind that process,
It'd be all right then.
even if it was a homeschool,
Yeah.
somebody would say, "Oh, okay, I believe it."
You know what I'm saying? Give us something. Because you can't go online. You can't, even if, like, at this point, by you begging for money for yourself, and you've got all these donations for the school, at this point, you still, like, got something to say to people that don't trust you now. Like, you still don't see it.
'Cause you
You
sound
still
like-
talking crazy to the people. Like,
Because you sound
Exactly.
like
You making them feel uncomfortable. So that's
Because
yeah.
it's a new fool born every day.
There you
So
go.
what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
I hate to call them fools, but when you're young, you have zeal, you don't know. And so if I used to listen to a guy named Young Pharaoh.
I love.
Okay,
Come
so
on, man.
now, just think if my grandson Google Young Pharaoh now with that stuff all on his eye and what he talking about now,
Yeah.
then he's going.
Ain't no telling who gonna-
He gonna look at you like you.
He got long dreads.
Yeah, you got dreads.
He got long dreads. He's conscious. The dude is, he's
He
amazing.
was a genius. I don't know, somebody.
Got on them drugs, man.
Yeah,
And I
his
think
whole-
they
his-
did.
he's changed. He's different
FBI
now.
was on him too.
Yeah.
They
So
kind
it
of
could've
silenced
been
him a little
something
bit.
from the system. Could have been something he imploded. Could have been 1,000 different things. But the reality is, though, I was just trying to make to your point. Depending on where you came into the story, you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so what Europeans have been successful at doing is they've allowed the story to overlap everything, even to this point, even when they disagree.
That's it.
It's still the survival of the fittest. It's still evolution. It's like you came from an ape, and why there's still apes. And then we give you a scientific answer as to why there's still apes. No, this is a different evolution. Whatever that is. And everybody's going to believe it. Everybody's going to agree with that, rather. Whether they believe it or not, they're going to agree with that. And so
That's
they say
exactly right.
Christopher Columbus discovered America, who never set foot into America, then everybody's going to go with that story. So blacks, by the time we try to craft a story, what happens generally is, then he's gonna say he's a Hebrew Israelite. He's gonna say a New Wapian. He's gonna say he came through a boom, boom, and now we're fighting just about something
I'm Anunnaki.
yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Now we learned about.
I'm from mom and dad.
I mean, that's.
And it was a really wrong there.
Yeah, I laugh at that story because people talking about he could discover them. How you discover something you were lost?
Yeah.
Right, but see, but if we
Yeah,
have
discoveries.
but see how we have that
Simply
conversation.
Afrikaners. You know, but we call ourselves African. Our whole identity. And I'm saying first we was Negroes, and so now I just had a long fight with the Gemini, whatever this little software is, about they're no longer Haviland groups. It used to be Negroid, Caucasoid,
Caucasoid,
yeah.
and Dravidians.
Dravidians,
But then
yeah.
she's saying that's outdated because now we understand that racism was a construct that was invented by man, and there's no sense in sense. Because I was trying to get to that there was no Jew marker. There was no, no Haviland group for that. It was just, and so we kept getting to that. And then she started talking about vitamin D and so then I asked her, I said, so basically I can stop talking to you because your entire information is coming from out of Africa theory.
Come on, man.
And so if you don't buy into it, it's just like religion. When you buy into Christianity, you got to believe that the Jews are the chosen people.
Right.
And you got to believe that even though there are 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, we had 32 dynasties. And after 2 golden ages, you know what I'm saying? But he ain't saying nothing, huh? You know what I'm saying? I ain't scared of y'all now. But
You know what? That's crazy.
at the end, now
Deeeep gonna laugh at me.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's just like the guy, the boy with the golden coat. The boy with Joseph with the many colors.
Yeah.
Come out of Mount Africa into Africa. And then theoretically, he's supposed to rape the Pharaoh's wife.
Well, it was a
Potiphar's wife. Well, no, Potiphar was the thing. But anyway, so he was down in the dungeon because he raped, I thought, the Pharaoh's wife.
No, it was Potiphar, and then when he got because she lied on him, she wanted to sleep.
What was
with him.
Potiphar though? The
Potiphar,
raper?
Potiphar was like a public.
Pretty
he was
high
like,
guy.
he was pretty high. Yeah,
Okay. All right. So we ain't seen Power. We didn't seen all these New Jack. if the gangster of the group or the high up kind of guy, you raise my wine, you ain't finna, not only are you not finna be in no basement, but you definitely ain't finna come up again and I'm finna make you second in command of my whole king.
Right.
Yeah. Now this ain't finna happen. You see what I'm saying? And so when we start Pharaoh, all we got John, I start thinking Pharaoh, black people, that's
Yeah.
we singing, but our people got drowned in the army. What we doing?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm saying to you that you subscribe to this, and then you realize, like I said, the 32 dynasties, ain't nobody said nothing to nobody.
Right.
And then you look at you find out about the 42 negative confessions. Look it up. 42 negative confessions that from the 42 negative confessions that was 8, 12, 15,000 years before the Bible was even started. But 8 of them, 10 commandments, probably come right out of the 42 negative confessions. Right. So how is this possible? And the same information is just overlapped over and over again from different eras and different. So when you do, this is why they teach us when Black History Month. Sir John Truth, Nat Turner, Marcus Garvey, no Mansa Musa, no Song Hay, no Mali, no, you know what I'm saying, Timbuktu, no, none of these real people, real artifacts, real stuff. But we'll learn about Beowulf. We learn about the end, the Odyssey, or you know what I'm saying? God said the physical. You know what I'm saying? We'll learn about that. And I'm saying, but again, that's because we've chosen. I promise I'm gonna stop. But I looked through all history. I tried to find out where somebody was encapsulated or depressed by our people, and then they got free from that. And then they let the people that had them in captivity educate them. They told them the story. Nobody, not the Turks, not the Ottomans, not the Byzantine, not nobody. Once you got free, you was out of there.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You was gone. You was gone. Whether you were wrong or right, you educated yourself on your line. The Planet Apes, they thought they was always on top until they went down and saw themselves on the wall in the cage. But it don't take but 2 generations to believe whatever it is you want us to believe.
Man,
but I'm gonna stop against it.
No, I'm glad you said what you said because there's a famous line
That's correct.
in 300 where
Y'all know about that story.
Yeah,
The whole thing. And now they got us think women fantasizing about these dudes. They believe that if you was fighting beside your gay lover, that you would fight to the death. Right. This is why they, the band of thieves and all these. Man, this stuff is in history, but they give us, and so now we got kids out here. I'm 300. And it's like a alpha male. In Greece, it's called pederasty. That's man-boy love. And so the man was the alpha, and the boy was the beta. Right. You see what I'm saying? When he grew up, he got his own, and so now we the alpha. You see what I'm saying? And we just perpetuate these things.
Agape.
But the coolest thing in the movie, Xerxes told him. He told Leonidas. He said, "Listen, I'm gonna shoot so many arrows that the sun won't."
You'll black out the sun. Yes.
Then he said, "We're gonna wipe your name from the history books." He tells them, nobody will ever say your name, nobody will ever know who you are. We're gonna wipe you from the history books. And so when he said that, I thought about it. I was like, man, you know how gangster that is to say, not only are we gonna kill you, but
we're gonna erase you.
We're gonna erase
you never existed.
And how does that be accomplished? Again, because until the lion writes a story, the hunter will always be glorified.
Exactly.
So when they say that Henry the Great, which is a total idiot, and I mean, this guy was just, again, but I'm saying, but we still call him Henry the Great, Alexander the Great, or whatever his name was.
King James.
All these people. But I'm saying, so because the history is being taught by the captors.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be divisive in this, but Japanese people ain't going. I mean, they'll read this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And they look at it like folklore.
They look at it like white kids going to black rap concerts.
And then also too, with Japanese people, they know their culture. We as blacks,
don't know.
We're lost.
Well,
and that's what, to me, I feel like we're lost. And like you just said, but once the capture lets you go, you need to take it upon yourself, not to learn from them, learn as much as you need to know.
Dr. Khalid Muhammad said when apartheid ended, he gave them folk 2 days to get out of there. He'd have killed all of them. I am not saying this. It's not what I believe. I'm just telling you what Dr. Khalid Muhammad said. He said that it's equivalent to somebody breaking your house, tie you up in your family, and rape your wife for months. You know what I'm saying? Eat your food, do all this stuff, torture you, and then when the police come in and rescue you, you give this guy a room in the back. You see what I'm saying? No, this guy's out of here. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we did. That's why we're trickling along now. Happening now. And so I'm saying to you, in certain spaces and places, we need to be able to talk freely with a think tank and not just be emotional and rush out, because I don't know all the answers. I may have a context of what I think I know, but when I talk to this guy, he said, Mike, no, what really happened, or he didn't say really happened, but Mike, you got to look at, if you push this, it's gonna make these 3 things fall.
Right, right,
And I didn't
right.
want them 3 things to fall. I didn't even think about the understanding the consequences. This is why there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
But what happens is we walk out on with our sign and we doing whatever we doing, and then some people join us. And matter of fact, you ask the people go into protest, and they will put a mic in front of people saying, what don't you believe? Oh, these are this. And they say, no, give me
a reason, and they have no reason.
Oh, because these no, and they can't articulate anything.
Exactly.
Because you look at people, I just say George Soros, but different people. I saw an ad, my personal self, for professional people to come be in crowds, be in riots.
Oh, yeah.
They hire these people.
They're
and put them
soliciting
out.
these people, providing tools and these kind of things. And so you don't know what's real. And so when a guy can't speak his heart because he has to carry these lines, you could see it.
Yeah.
And if you aren't authentic in this, then we don't think you're authentic in all the
Yes,
things. This is
exactly.
why I think the lackluster moment for the last little election was happening. And so I'm hoping that this is the correction that will happen, that people will speak from their heart and begin to say, I don't think men should be in women's sports, but I still also believe that boom, boom, boom. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So here's the reality, because man, you got a daughter that just wants to swim. I know you can't believe it because you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A record been there for 30 years. This guy get in it, and now the record is gone.
Right,
You see what I'm saying?
right.
You don't
I
have a
can't
problem with
acknowledge that.
Yeah,
Me neither.
and I think what happens is you let these fringe things become your. I mean, it could be a situation where it's one here, and they're gonna make that the
Biggest thing.
The biggest
Like
thing.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, they can get one thing. They say we're gonna this is it, and we're gonna focus on this. And the way as a Democrat, one of the things I would tell people all the time, I don't think I've ever gone into a meeting and we discussed that. I don't think not one time have we ever just sat there and said, oh yeah, we fight for this. What we fight for is equality. And see what they throw the baby out with the bathwater. What they decide is when we say everybody should be treated equally under the law as it relates to health care, as it relates to the legal system, as it relates to education, then people say, but what about this person who is in this circle? And then they want to draw the circle around that person. But we're saying, we didn't tell you to change any rules around this. What we're saying is they need to be treated equal. Now, what equal means to you is what ends up, what you end up fighting on. But that's not what comes to mind when we're talking about those types of things. Abortion, for instance. The first thing they say, oh, you want to kill babies. Well, I guess denying these women health care, getting rid of Medicaid, especially in a place like Shelby County, where we already have a high infant mortality rate, where we already have women that are suffering, that die having babies because they didn't get the proper care that they got. Now you're going to snatch that away, and then you say, well, you can't go get no abortion anyway, even though the baby might be killing you.
Look, and you zoom out from that, mindset, and you realize that the European, the white birth rate is down.
Right.
If 100 die, only 98 may be born.
Right.
And then you look at the policies of no more, and then it actually wasn't really no more abortions. It was back to the states.
Right.
Each state.
Right.
So there was no mandate to say you can get it. It's just if all the Texans believe that babies are precious, then them folk in that country, just like this white town, is all white.
Right.
Proposed to be all white. They might enact some rules where you can only go 30 miles an hour.
Right.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You can make any construct that you want. And I'm saying when we zoom out from a lot of these fights, these are constructs.
It's the constructs,
And we're
right?
fighting for the construct.
Yeah,
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
but they're constructs to destruct, because when you really think about it, if they zoom out to that level, they leave a state like Texas or leave a state like Tennessee, they can actually incrementally implement stuff that's Jim Crow again. Because now the federal government has pulled itself away from saying, I'm gonna make sure you treat everybody in America the same way.
But ain't this the same way? Like, so I was, from my knowledge, Hitler kind of used the same entertainment type tactic to be able to manipulate people and believe in something.
Shoot, is it not him? I mean,
But his who we mimicked this algorithm from, right?
It's like after the Nazis, all those scientists and folk came over here,
Right.
And they started all this dastardly stuff. Matter of fact, it was I think 19 something when they signed the law allowing. See, because America's always been propagandizing other countries. They've been toppling leaders and doing all this stuff. Like Obama told you the formula, you just flood the thing with enough misinformation. He gave us that whole little blueprint, right? That they've been doing, right? And so and then they signed a law letting them do it to us. Because all this stuff that they had, all these modalities that the FBI and the CIA had done that they were doing in other countries, it was a law that they couldn't do it to Americans. Now I got to pull it up. I looked at the lecture, but it's actually a law. But they signed it to allow them to do us. So when you look at like Josie and the Pussycats and those kind of movies where the subliminal messages in the music and this kind of stuff, orange is the new black, and everybody go get orange. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty much where they're trying to hurt us too.
Orange people in orange were in jail.
Yeah, but wasn't it part of the NATO treaty?
Wow. Wow.
What?
Which is the movie.
What'd you say?
Right, it was like,
Yes, because-
No, the laws they talking about. I said, wasn't it part of the NATO treaty?
It might have been
Yeah,
something.
I think it's part of the NATO
So
treaty.
so what that means is, does this, maybe I'm just putting some out there, does this speak to, if orange is the new black, but orange is the color they were in jail, black people should be in jail? Could that be kind of like,
Subliminally,
am I reaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whiter than snow, the Bible, the white is, I mean, so they ain't saying it, but subliminally.
Right.
And that's why, as they said in Hidden Figures, if you want to subjugate a people, you got to do it to the level of their God. You got to believe that these people should be ruled over you, because if you don't do it at that level, your common sense, your self-perseverance is going to kick in.
And I do think we care a little bit too much about stuff we shouldn't care about. When they zero in on the stuff they want us to distract us from whatever they're doing behind the scenes, they've mastered it. They did a good job, and I got to give my hand clap, because we literally will focus on one thing and think it's so important that it's been like we haven't even talked about this until today. Why is it all of a sudden important now?
But I think like-minded people need to be with like-minded people. Because we're at a point right now in our history to where, and this is where the target got on some people's back when they started talking about poor people as a whole. If we went and we covered our faces and we were sitting in a place like West Virginia and we were talking amongst other people that are disenfranchised or poor, you hear some of the same stories. You hear some of the same stories. And it won't be nothing to do with your skin color, it won't be anything, but you'll hear all these social constructs that's around disenfranchisement, folks that are poor, that don't have access to health care, people that drug-infested neighborhoods, all these things, that stuff is going to come up in the conversation. If you're going to sit there and listen, it's like, man, where does this sound familiar from?
And the one they attacked are the ones that's beneficial. In other words, so when crack was in the black neighborhood, it was just a thing. The criminals, we don't care how they got here, lock them up, 3 strikes and you're out. We don't care what made you get here. Iran-Contra deal where we funded that war through y'all demise, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about all that, right? And then you fast forward to the fentanyl crisis that's happening right now, and all of a sudden we're going to have rehabs in every state. So we're going to give millions and millions of dollars to this because they can't help themselves. It's something. Boom. So I'm saying to you that the construct and the powers manipulate the reality of the moments. You see what I'm saying? To benefit what they're doing. And so and until we again get out of this leader mentality and we get into some rooms. See, I said to the preachers, well, Marcus Garvey said, the greatest weapon you can do on a people is disorganization.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you, as black people, we should be the most organized people of people. We meet at least 2 weeks every week. Bible study and main service, let alone any other. So I'm saying, I was asking the pastor, can we just give 95? Can we just take 5% to talk about it? We can buy this Krispy Kreme down here and see if there's enough people that want to do that. You know what I mean? But you see, now you get into separation of church and state. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, we used to do it. We used to do it, but we got away from it. But to your point, recently they changed the 501(c)(3) status to where churches can go in and actually support a candidate, because you couldn't do that before. You had to, skate around politics when you were in a church, and now the IRS changed the rule to where you can say.
And I'm sure somebody in the room figured that we needed to have them in rather than out because we're losing such and such. So it's beneficial to us now to allow this to happen. You see what I'm saying? When it wasn't beneficial, then it wasn't allowed.
There's always something behind it. For every change is for somebody to benefit from it. That's where the change.
And nobody generally goes behind the curtain to look at it. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right. Yes.
We just glad
you don't see him. Yes.
And I'm saying to churches that what they should be doing is opening up either daycares or schools or something that then can allow you to even get the funding and the 501c3, because at a point where the LGBTQ or somebody comes into your church and not want just a regular wedding, we want to slide down on on a zip line to the altar. And what the pastor's going to say, no, 3 ways, quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Right.
And then they're going to take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. And then they're going to say, well, because you aren't serving the entire population, your 501c3 status is going to be revoked. And if you want to see mad African Americans, don't let that giving slip come by the 30th of January. Because that's pretty much consistently the only thing that we're giving to benevolently. You see what I'm saying? And so if that goes away, then what do we have then? But I'm saying if we see that, if we're in a think tank, if we see what's coming, if we see the handwriting on the wall, we should be I mean, like you said, we're worried about tomorrow morning. They're into 30 years from now, 20 years from now.
Exactly.
And I'm saying, I hate to say there, because again, we are there too.
Yeah, we are there.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to be divisive in that. I'm just simply saying
we are there.
that there needs to be, and again, sometimes it's crisis, like when Harrington was school board, when he tried to have a meeting, maybe introduce some policy or some new initiative, you could spray the place with machine guns, wouldn't hit nobody, right? But then as soon as the news tried to come for him, or they tried to do, now the place is packed because y'all messing with Dr. Harrington. You see what I'm talking about? And so I'm saying for us, oftentimes it takes crisis, and if you get in a think tank, you could manufacture crisis. Here's what I was going to manufacture. I was like in North Memphis on Jackson Avenue. I said we should get together, get some money, and put on those poles at midnight. Go up and put a black man playing a saxophone. No words, no nothing, just, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So when you drive down, it's black, right? You know what I'm saying? I said the first week people say it's cute. Second week folk ask who did it. Third week the city council say, hey, we didn't get no permit, nobody ordinance for it. Fourth week they're gonna say, take it down. And the fourth week, that's when we all gonna be together. We gonna come down and lay down at the pole, at the bottom of the ground for the bulldozers not to be able to go. And then they're gonna make the news. Then all the people that's in the neighborhood that wasn't been active, they gonna come out. You see what I'm saying? Right. And now now the news helped us get the people that we couldn't even get.
Right.
But it took the crisis to make the people get out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about?
That's a formula.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's a small thing, but that's what they already believe. Out of chaos comes order.
Right.
Yeah, this is I mean, I went down a rabbit hole and I looked at some people's doctrine. I ain't gonna say name, but they believe. Here's the mantra: win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. Right? Now this is...
You ain't playing if you ain't cheating, right?
I'm saying this.
That's where it comes from.
I'm saying to you that you
really
think,
playing if you ain't
I hate to say her name, but you think Felicity Huffman and with the college scandal, you think that she paid for her kids to get to college? I think it was Felicity Huffman, whatever they called them, pay whatever. You think that just happened? No. This been happening since the 30s and 40s. All these Harvard League and Harvard, they did it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Man, you see these people. You could work on jobs when you were smarter than your supervisor. When you had more creative ideas than the man who over the whole creative company. You've seen it over and over and over again, because this is how it's been going. And big bank eat little bank. And so as long as you got the big bank, I don't care how much education you got. Matter of fact, I'll hire you to work for me. Because as soon as you try to open up yours, either I'm going to try to buy from you when you say, no, I'm going to send code enforcement down there because my uncle is over code. I'm going to send the folk from doing it. And if none of that work, I'm going to give him $20 to go down there and burn you down.
So why do we, and we about to close out in a second.
All right.
So and both of y'all can go into this. Why do we think it's so bad? Why do we think nepotism is so bad when they do it all the time and we try to do things the right way?
Well, see, nepotism.
Right.
The white ray,
Nepotism, number one, if I got it could be this way. If I got an old idiot and then I put a young idiot just because he's in the lineage of the old idiot, where does that lead you? I mean, it leads you nowhere.
It leads you to like the Rockefellers and these people, because again, what the old idiot does is pay for everybody that's brilliant to come and do his bidding. You see what I'm saying? If you
and it's called legacy.
Yeah,
that's what it's called. Legacy.
And so even though my son is a flat-foot moron, but the company's still gonna say his name.
Yeah.
And before I die, I'm gonna hire him because he's the rocket scientist. This guy is. You see what I'm saying? You're never gonna get your company off the ground because the people didn't support you. Right. I see your worth, Jim. Chris, hey, come on, we're gonna give you, and now you're gonna support my moron son until he dies, and maybe his son is a little smarter. And at the end of the day, the DuPonts and all these people are still here today. The GE Electrics, all these people are still here today. Ford, they say Ford bought the patent for. They never say they invented nothing.
No, he never invented.
You see what I'm saying? They said hidden figures. The only place that a lot of people invented was the patent office. because once they invented that, then everything else is a wrap. You see what I'm saying? Lewis, that guy that's cotton gin, he had no motivation to do a cotton gin because he had 100 people picking cotton. It's the guys who picking the cotton that needed some way to mechanize it. You see what I'm saying? And so, and what they would do with Ford would go send this. He had 1,000, like they said in Hidden Figures. You could, if you watch that movie, you can see it. But he had 1,000 people. He would send out all over the United States. And when you figured out how to do something on the toilet, make toilet flush, he would come in there and they would add one thing to it, and then they would rush out to the patent office and they would do the patent. The printing press, Johann Gutenberg, them dudes. You know what I'm saying? That dude he didn't have enough money. And so the big bank came and gave him $5,000, whatever they took that, and now he's, you know what I'm saying, known for it.
They just sell with,
as recent as what Bill Gates did with IBM.
Okay, yeah.
The operating system that ran Windows. Basically, if you ever watch the Monsters of the Pirates of Silicon Valley, if you ever watch that movie, you'll see where he went in and he basically said, we have an operating system, but we need MS-DOS. We need DOS to run our operating system. So they went in there and they put DOS under it, made Windows run, and told the folks, look, can we buy DOS? It was like, look, we don't really use it for nothing. Here's $100,000. But promise us you never make computers. It was like, we got to make computers. We're going to make the software to go on the computers.
And people, just again, the treaties, they promised the indigenous people, you know, that these treaties, and then they got what they wanted, and they told the treaty. I mean, again, who is checking who? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And once you understand that this whole system is not to be messed with. In other words, it's not broken at all. It is operating exactly how it should be.
There you go. It works for them.
But if you look at the textile people, the Indian people, so you know when somebody was the blacks of Europe or whatever, I can't think whoever that was. Irish? That's what I was trying to think of. The Irish was like when I say the blacks as far as lowest form up there. But when they had one thing, the textile industry, that allowed them to start getting money, and then when they got money, then you start getting class, and you see what I'm saying? So I'm saying for us, the Japanese are, like I said, 30 years, I didn't tell you I was still on camera, but there was a family here 30 years, and the mother and father never spoke English. And it was because everything they needed was within their culture. So it's possible, and even with the construct over them, they are still operating, the Hispanics over there, when you get off on Perkins, down there the entire Perkins Street, you know what I'm saying? Mexican restaurant, this and that. But they still got the same thing construct we got.
And that's, I believe that can happen. We can have a construct within a construct.
We can, and that's why it's important to.
Our iron keeps getting plucked out.
And we got to stop. We have to stop saying we're not going to participate in the system. If you ever read Art of War,
you got to pay taxes. You got to participate. I'm just simply saying, do it within our ecosystem and pop out. Pop out. You still, because you want the diversity. You want. I mean, a lot of ain't nothing happening in America if black people ain't in it.
That's right.
It ain't hot. It ain't slick. It ain't saucy. You know what I'm talking about? And that's why I say about the sports. If we had just held our ground, with all these, we had baseball teams, football teams, we had stadiums where your mama sold the peanuts, your daddy worked at the parking lot. We had all that. You see what I'm saying? And so an athlete is going to want to play the best. Now, Babe Ruth going to want to play Willie Mays, even if it's in a cornfield out in Mississippi where nobody see it. Because you want to know that you the best of all the people. You know what I'm talking about? If we'd have just been patient, then we could have gotten in the room and said, okay, we'll close two, y'all close two, we'll combine, boom, 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 and we could have been in it from the beginning. But we were so wanted to be guest, because that's what happened once we closed our stadium down. We had to sit up in the top. So we couldn't even do it. You see what I'm saying? This same thing with going out of Miss Ledbetter's. Why? She cooking this bland, dull food. Why wouldn't I stay at because somebody told her. Somebody got a bullet pulpit and kept telling us over and over again that we need to integrate, that we need, that's not separate but equal, whatever it is. We need to integrate with that. You see what I'm talking about? We don't even need better books. We couldn't write our own books. We should have been about the business of writing books that favored our story. You see what I'm talking about now? That's just my opinion, but I also believe in this experiment called democracy. One of the greatest things that we could have experienced in America is actually bringing together all these cultures, creating, because they say we are, capitalist society or whatever. If we just really capitalized on the talent that we had in every group and use it in the right way, then we wouldn't even be in the predicament we're in. When what can make us great for real, not because we've never been great, but what can make us great for real
is when we sit there and look at each other and say, you know what? Really, we're the targets of everybody's aggression. Because we have a freedom that most people would love to be a part of, because they come over here and scramble to be a part of this. But instead, our infighting, we have an infighting construct within our community. There's an infighting with Americans as a whole. There's infighting with the party system that we have here. There's infighting with
intergenerational.
Yeah, all of that, man. Intergenerational men against women.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all these fights.
Yeah.
Right.
But we managed to function as a superpower. Just imagine if we just flipped the script and said, you know what?
Gonna make America great.
We're gonna make it great for real. Because what we're doing is we break down
Never
these
liked it.
constructs. Huh?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we break down these constructs. Now, you can do it a little bit at a time. See, what we keep thinking about is how big this thing is and how hard it's going to be to get everybody to do it. All it takes for you to do it on your block.
Yeah.
If you do it on your block, then the next block do it, then eventually all of America's doing it. But what we fail to do is have that real conversation of what are we gaining from these fights?
And
it's absolutely
and I would say, parents, if as we wrap this up, you know, I'm going to leave you with something. I'm going to suggest that as a community, black community in particular, that we keep our kids from Roots, 12 Years a Slave, The Butler, any of these movies until they're 10 years old. And you know what I'm saying, if they get maybe secondhand, they walk through a room and see it, okay, but not to sit down as a unit and watch this and you call it history, right? You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying to you that if we're going to entertain ourselves with something, let us create like I think they're trying to bring back some movie about Mali or Songhay or some these areas.
Right. Mansa Musa.
Mansa Musa. So these are the things that even if they aren't as accurate, even if they leave out some, even if they whatever, just to be able to go on a quest for something that gives you value, instead of going all the way on a quest on something at the end of the day only glorifies Napoleon Bonaparte or these people which still subjugates you. You see what I'm saying? And so if now if you see a black and a white kid and they're playing from 6 and 7, 8, and then they watch a Roots or a Butler or Wellesley Slave, the next day when they both wanted to play this, but he's going to defer to this guy because he just saw.
And you feel something.
You see, and so either he's going to evoke anger, it's going to evoke some, but at the end of the day, it's just like my mom used to have the white Jesus. You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying, Mama, there's no way you can, if it doesn't matter, then let's just because nobody in history has any spiritual deity that does not look like them. You know, that's like 14 different Buddhas. They look like depending on where you in.
Yes.
You know, somebody, we the only one that'll stick with, I saw one church, I ain't gonna name the church, but they had a program that said women are reflecting God's image. You know what I'm saying? They had a reflection of a mirror and the woman looking in the mirror, but the reflection back was white Jesus. And I'm saying, come on now.
This is a church in Memphis.
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to cover the church. I'm just saying. And we don't.
Off camera, I didn't know that.
And we don't see it though. We don't think about it. We don't. Look. Some of y'all go to movies and watch an entire movie, 2 hours, and won't see a single black. Won't even think about it. I'm the only guy that think, man, there ain't no black people. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like that about everything. But some of us will look at an entire movie. We'll see ourselves camping. It's stuff that we don't even do. We'll see ourselves bungee jumping. Whatever the movie is, we'll immerse ourselves in these things because we have no anchor. There is nobody that's given us an anchor of, again, all the people of the Americas of the world came into Kush or El Kebulan, or I hate to call it Africa because again that's Cypriot or Africanus. That's another colonizer like America, Vespucci in America. So I'm saying, but all of them came over here. When Mansa Musa went to Mecca, and they say he gave out so much gold, and Europe kind of threw their economy off, but they didn't really have an economy. So that's just some folklore too. So you see what I'm saying? When you see the picture on the map with Mansa Musa with this nugget of gold, you know what I'm saying? So what it did do though, was it's like if you go to Exxon and the guy bum comes up and say, hey man, you got 50 cents? And you reach in your pocket and you say, no man, all I got is these thousands. Not hundreds, you got not a thousands dollar. You think this guy ain't finna get an Uber to follow you wherever you going?
Right.
Because he ain't got no car, but somebody and this is what happened. So once he did that, because they thought Africa was a whole nother, they wasn't on that. But when that happened then, for another 500, whatever, how long it took for them to finally get into that. And they came in under the name of education. You see what I'm saying? They came in to learn in Timbuktu and these places. And when we talk, man, I'll knock you to Timbuktu, we even derogatorize our own history. You see what I'm saying? Because
I want somebody to knock me there because I need to.
Exactly. But I'm saying, so until our kids can get an anchor, until our kids can get some personal pride, it's going to be too easy to make them follow any fad that comes up. I remember when I was growing up, they had them crowns. Y'all remember them crowns? We used to put in the window. I know you probably remember them old crowns. Air fresh, And oh my God, you thought you was Jesus Jr. if you can get a crown.
What? I know you know.
I say, yeah, you like one of them, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, but we're too easy. You see what I'm saying? It's just, the folk had on Facebook a caption, they had like 8 kids, y'all saw this, but the kids had stacks of money, and the girls had on little short dresses.
Yeah.
They talking about
first day of school.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, first thing I said on the cap, hey, there's no street in Memphis called Fair Lane or whatever it was that I did read. There's no street in Memphis. Then I said, and there's no school in the city, even that don't have dress codes, that would allow these girls to come into a school all day, because we gave out 1,500 or 15,000 uniforms at this back to school rally. So I know they got boxes of uniform in the school. So even if you come like that, they're gonna say, hey, baby girl, you need. So I'm saying critical thinking now, because all people do is start jumping. We just jump on and we start. And so I'm saying that this might not be real. They might have had an entrepreneurial conference, and these folks just might have came back from some of their earnings. I mean, you could pick a different 1,000 different.
Hold on, let me just speak to the camera real quick. You gotta speak to the camera. Stop taking, every time y'all see some on social media, don't try to be the first one to tell everybody, because it may not be true, man. It may be a whole different narrative that somebody else then created. Now you going with the same one, then it's gonna get switched to something else. Man, listen, we need to chill out on that. Like we're too interested in being entertained and want to be the entertainer that we missing it. We missing the mark. And I want to go ahead and close out, because we hour and a half in this one. I want y'all to end with this, man. You was talking about mantras earlier, and you probably already gave yours, but what is your mantra as a man that you live by? And let's try to keep it short, but mine is live by principles and not by rules. That always stuck with me, and what it did was it made me create my own ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? Start my own business. Eat holistically and try not to depend really, as much as I can. Let me control my destiny. Let me control my surroundings, my circumstances, by way of making sound decisions that I know what the results is going to be. And so I just feel like if we accepted that type of mindset, that we can think for ourselves, then you can live by principles and have stone hard principles that you will never go against, because that's really a part of being spiritual as well. Principles. And somebody, try to knock you off your square, you have principles that you can fall back on. So that's me.
For me, it's basically loving people as myself. If I can see myself in other people, then more than likely I'm not going to do something diabolical to them. Because what I've seen historically is that, whether you're white, black, Protestant, Catholic, Jew, Gentile, if you start respecting people as yourself and you see yourself in them, you're less likely to try to oppress, try to depress, try to murder, kill, whatever. I try to find something that keeps me from going that route, because there are a lot of things that can trigger you. But what you have to do is try to find humanity in those people, and so that when you engage, you can engage in a way that says, I'm not going to be a destructor. I'm not going to be a person that tears down bridges. I'm going to be a person that builds bridges.
Awesome. Amen. To thine own self be true, but bigger than that is, what I've learned is the best way to defeat your enemy. I'm going to put y'all on game now. The best way to defeat your enemy is to not have one. And so for me, the way I've been able to live and sleep well at night is to understand that everybody has a story. We are all sentient beings, free agents that came in for a purpose. See, we are spiritual beings inhabiting these avatars to have this earthly experience. And I equate that to, there's only one Facebook. There's 1 billion profiles, but all that information is going back to the meta. So even as much black and white as I talk, and I don't really talk a lot of it, but because that's where we are, but I understand that once we shed these avatars, we're back into the spiritual realm. And so there ain't no black spirit, ain't no white spirit. You know what I'm talking about? And now we become to this oneness, and so we're all this. Ant is you, a spider is you.
Right.
We're all sentient beings. So if I come against gays, now I've got an enemy. Now that means that somebody got to come back against me. Mm-hmm. If I come against Jews, that means somebody's got to come back. But if I allow to live and let live, if I then in my space, here's my house, and I don't like backbiters. I don't like people that's. You can be backbiting all you want out there. And I'm not finna come out here and crusade against your backbitisms.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? My job is to be here in this space, and the people that are around me, I can. That's the only thing you can govern.
Right.
Is your own space. And so when you come out trying to champion stuff that you have no control over, you're bound to meet frustration. You're bound to meet opposition. You're bound to meet these things. And so you can. The Bible talks about spare not but cry out, or whatever it talks about. But I'm saying, so you have a right to say something about it. I'm not saying that when you see injustices, you say something about it. I don't think that's right. About the guy that slapped the black man in Cleveland or wherever it was, and everybody else got arrested, but these black guy had a lawyer. The lawyer didn't want him to talk to you. He the one started it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can say these things and say that it doesn't make sense, and you should participate in something. But at the end of the day, I sleep well because I didn't get slapped.
Right.
Because I didn't, you see, and I'm not saying that to be not concerned about your brother. You see what I'm saying? So you have an obligation to your brother at a certain point. Right. You see what I'm saying? But your first responsibility is to yourself.
Correct.
And so when you learn to thine own self be true, to speak truth to power, but sometimes that truth is just not coming there no more.
Right.
I didn't like the way y'all treated me. So my speaking truth to you is not me coming out protesting because now you can find out where I live and you get me killed. You see what I'm saying? Right. I mean, why? Why would you do that to yourself? I'm just not going back there anymore. So I'm encouraging us all, and we could really dissolve a lot of conflict if we just simply realize that at the end of the day, you can only control yourself. And once you do that, and once you get delivered from the opinion of people, then you can really be of value. But as long as you need followings, clicks, votes, any of these things, then there's always room. I'm not saying you always are, but there's always room for compromise. There's always room for somebody to debate this to a degree that you almost think that you're doing it. You have what's called plausible deniability, because you really think that you're just simply doing this for the fact of doing this, but all the time they had an agenda because they wanted you to be in there to get this other man out.
Right.
You see, but you only had the agenda to get in because you wanted to serve the people. Right. And you wonder how you get the people gave you all this money because you know what I'm saying, everybody in my community won't give me nothing to run. But somebody just gave me $500,000 to run for this or that or the other. And I thought it was just because they believed in me. But all the time they had a hand in it because they wanted to get rid of that guy because he's really doing something for the community.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why you have to then for thy own self be true. If I didn't want to run, like the guy asked you about politics, you say, it's not. But if a guy offered you $500,000, maybe I could do a little. Or you could say, no, bro, that just ain't my lane. Right. You see what I'm saying? But if you weren't mature enough, or if you had any kind of bills, because they already checked your credit score. Who is Sir Isaac? Who is FICA? Who are these people? These are all constructs. These are all games.
Yeah.
These are all games. You want me to just use 30% of my $100? Let me do that. Who was in the room? It's like when like the comedian said, whoever got these showers now that come straight over your head. Yeah. He said, couldn't have been no black people in the room when they made that decision. Right. Because black women ain't finished to let you just post stuff in their hair, like, to shower, take a shower. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. We doing this. I'm doing what I went, and I ain't even got no hair, but I don't want nothing just going on. You see what I'm talking about? So I'm saying, I don't know what my point was, but the point is that
this joke feel good.
That's a funny point though, because I just thought about what you said, and you probably would go to the store, and we go to the Best of Home show. And everybody say, "Oh, it's cute coming out the cellar." But I think about my wife going there and have to get her hair done.
Ain't no way. It ain't gonna happen.
You don't have to use
I said mine? Mine's simple. I'm 55 years old. I don't sing so much, been through so much. I'm at a point where about me is all about peace. My own peace of mind. What makes your peace is not my peace. But as me, and I swear, like what you were saying, I'm not trying to go out and get enemies. I mean, whatever you do, you do. If I can tell you something right, I give it. Now, if you don't agree with it, it's not because I didn't put it out there. It's because you just chose to go another route. Right. But my peace of mind is so important to me, and I'm not bringing nobody into my circle that's going to construct my peace of mind other than if you're going to help me, we're great. We're going to be great together. But if you're going against me, then you can stay over there. And I promise you, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to help. I just want peace. And that's my whole thing. Now, I'm 55. I got more time behind me than I got in front of me. So the time I got in front of me, I got to make it be as positive as I possibly can. And for me, my peace of mind is so important. Right. So that's me.
You just made soul with me up because I'm 54.
I'm sorry. I'm just. You go, Chris.
You know, I'm real simple. I'm just stay morally structured as possible, and if I can't do nothing about it, I'm not worrying about it.
And I can vouch for you too, you know, because I know that's my actual blood brother, been knowing him for 20 plus years. First of all, he really liked that. Like, it's certain things just don't bother him at all. Like, he don't even, I don't care. I don't supposed to care about that.
Yeah.
But that keeps you stress free.
Yeah.
But man, this has been a great episode. If we find the time again, I would love to have you back on, Mike. We always got Simon. He's actually part of the family now. And to be honest with you, man, this is what we need. I love it. This was a great episode. Again, go get you Artichoke H2O, right? Miss Glennie Wilson, she's the president. She's actually the vice president of the company. I know her personally. She's great, and she stands by her product, man. This is some awesome stuff.
Is this locally owned or national?
Yeah.
Oh, it's local as Memphis?
Yeah. So they about to actually do the big launch here soon. She's gonna let me know what the launch is.
Scaling up.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's about to go crazy.
Well, maybe I can do an interview on 88.5. Speaking of which, I would like to invite folks to check me out Monday through Friday from 6 until 10. The Michael Adrian Davis Morning Show, 88.5 FM. And, we do everything from the birthday song to motivational moments to, I do a lot of talk. So, you know what I mean? And I open the can of worms. I don't really close them. Because if you aren't interested in it, you won't even deal with it. But if you are, I put you on a path of something that hopefully will open your eyes. And so once you get open about one thing, then to your point about going down that hole, but a lot of us just so busy on the hamster wheel that we will never even veer over and look at something that's opposing to what we've already believed.
And I believe we all need to, stick together. And I say that by saying this, man, Michael. When you get back on air, man, just give us a shout.
Shout out for the podcast.
Universal, yes sir. Universal Thought Podcast.
Let me know what you're gonna do. So I can
Universal Thought Podcast.
Yes sir.
I'm gonna tell them Monday that I was on here.
Yeah.
We listen.
I don't know.
It's gonna be a good.
I know I done talked some stuff, so I hope you know what I'm saying. But again, my desire is to not need people to need me. In other words, you know what I'm saying? So I can say what I want to say, and if you pull this up 3 years from now and say Mike said that, hopefully I'll still believe what I believe now. And so if I don't, I'll be able to tell you why I don't. Just like you asked me why I wasn't around on the radio, because I no longer, in the construct in which is given, think that's some of this stuff is the healthiest thing for our community. So I could either try to fight against it, kumbaya, or I could just stop perpetuating it.
Right.
And so I just simply choose to not. And nobody protested for me. Nobody went around. Nobody did nothing. You see what I'm saying? So see, I've learned not to die on the hill for people who aren't trying to die on the hill for themselves, which is another point for relationships. If you trying to get in a relationship with somebody who won't show up for themselves, it's going to be hard for them to show up for you. I can't work out. Oh, it's too hot. If you won't show up for yourself, then that might be a red flag that I might not need to yoke up with you, guys. But that's another topic for another day.
We'll get into it, man. Look, if you're in Memphis, this Will Simon, we stand behind him and everything that he does.
Newly appointed, right?
Yeah,
how long has it been?
Newly elected, but I don't.
Oh, elected, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not really, I'm not speaking for Shelby County Democratic Party. So anybody that's looking at this, I'm not talking about the Democratic Party.
And this is the only time we're talking about it now, because we threw it all the commentary. But like I want y'all to listen to my radio show. We do want you to know that he is the president, chairman. Okay,
that's all.
Yeah, that's all.
So go to 88.5.
Everybody knows that I am not talking from Shelby County. I'm talking as Willie Simon right now.
As the man.
Which he set it up at the beginning. He told you he didn't want to hear from the politician. He wanted to hear from the man.
From the man. So, I just want that to be abundantly clear. And as with my brother Michael Adrian Davis, man, I'm thankful that I got a chance to sit next to you again, man, to just hear the wisdom that comes out of your mouth, man, and hear your perspectives, because you have a very different view of a more lucid view than a lot of people have. And so I appreciate you sharing that. Then I also invite any one of y'all now when you want to participate in politics, don't hesitate.
You don't want me in politics.
Definitely.
I won't hesitate.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate, because we got to have people in the mix.
But I'm there though. I'm there. Just I don't want to be.
And I
on
would support
paper.
again. You don't take any of my speak to realize that we don't understand that we are better together.
Exactly.
Right.
And if there's a
That's the whole
vehicle that's driving, that's moving towards something that I think could be beneficial, I'm in. And if people have a way that they think something should go, and I don't feel that way, I'm not going to come against it.
Right.
I'm just going to stay out the way.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
back up,
And
yeah.
now if somebody come ask me how you feel about that, it depends on the platform what they're doing. I may tell this person, but my job is not to tear down anybody's thing because
There you
everything
go.
has value. It was here before I got here. It'll probably be here after I leave. So I just want to try to make things better. I'm sorry, but go ahead. Back
No,
to
you good, man. Just listen, like, share, and subscribe to the Universal Thought Podcast. This has been another great
Universal
episode,
Thought
and we'll see y'all on the next episode.
It's the Universal Thought Podcast.